work. I'm having a hell of a time figuring this out. I apologize. But I hope that you can see me now. I'm hopping over to try to check the chat, and then I will send Grant this link that he can join in and chat. Oh, finally. Okay, so let me.
I'm here.
Are you here too, Grant?
I'm here.
I don't see you. Awesome. Okay, so
Anybody? You are live.
thanks everybody for being patient. I don't know what was going on with that, but I think I just missed a little click somewhere in there.
All right. Matt said he's got to go play dad. He'd catch the replay. Have a good night, Matt.
Oh, good night, Matt. Thanks for stopping by. Sorry I was a little bit late.
Mike and Cole and Shannon.
Oh, and I'm on top chat, not live chat. Okay. I think now I have everything fixed up. So, who did I miss here? Welcome, everybody. Cole, WTF, Mike, Tiffany. Of course, Matt just left. Antonia, piano in 60 seconds. Shannon Naylor. Gosh, thank you guys so much. I am sorry it took me a minute. Please hit the like button for me if you can. What is the weather where you guys are today? It is beautiful out. I was outside for a little while. It's like mid 60s and breezy. Feels amazing. Grant, you said you were having bad weather out there.
We had some thunderstorms and tornadoes pretty close this morning. Some real heavy downpours.
That's not good.
Now the wind's blowing nonstop.
But temperature-wise, like, is it cold or is it okay?
I'd say it's in the upper 60s.
Okay, so it's nice. Now they just need to get rid of the rain so you can go out and go fishing, right?
Yeah, the wind last night and today both. The wind's just been horrible.
Yeah, we have not had any of that issue, so that's good at least.
Tiffany says it's snowing in New Mexico again.
Gosh, I feel like every time we're on here, Tiffany's saying that it's snowing.
I didn't think it was supposed to snow in New Mexico.
I'm not even good with any of that stuff. I don't know. Trevorfoot says they're getting that bad weather now, Grant.
I think he's in Alabama.
Oh, okay. And what Lucy's saying, it's raining and flooding in Nebraska. Yes, Cole, it looks like it's working.
Of course, Shannon's always having beautiful weather in Florida.
Mike, it is not vodka. It's actually just lemonade. Oh, Tiffany says she lives in the mountains in New Mexico. Okay. We have kind of that crazy weather too in Maryland because we have like the ocean, all the way on the east, but we have mountains in the west, and there can be huge variations in the temperatures across the state, even though it's teeny tiny. Let's see. So I appreciate everybody hopping on. I want to make sure that I have this sent out on my Instagram. I've never done this Hangouts as the person streaming. I kind of like it because I can actually have my phone. I'm used to having my phone and my laptop tied up. That's kind of nice.
Tim said he's got some shingle damage. He's not too far from me. He's probably about 45 minutes northeast.
Wow, so that has to be some pretty bad wind if it's shearing your shingles. Brandon Booker, what got you interested in worms? Myself, it was organic gardening and eating healthier instead of using all the pesticides and things like that in gardens, and then the miracle grows and all that have chemicals. That was it for me mainly. I don't know what about for you, Grant?
It's the same. Tim White that's in the chat, we've started a tomato growing, biggest tomato competition last year, and we were looking into different ways of having a better garden, and I think the worm castings was the number one result we came up with. So
yeah, I think it's all about the fertilizer, and if you don't have to use the scary stuff, that's what's important.
Yeah, last year I think Tim bought like 15 or so different things to add.
Like organic inputs to add?
I think most were organic. I don't know that all of them were, like the azomite and seaweed and
Okay, yeah.
the stuff.
I gotcha. Hey, Sandy. Yes, Mike, fertilizer is scary. I mean, you don't know what's in that stuff. Let's see. I've just started keeping worms and fast red mites have appeared. Do you know if they're okay? Yes, Antonia, those are spider mites. They're completely fine. They're more of a nuisance than anything else. Sometimes it can be a sign of a little bit of an acidity issue, so I always just say load up on some extra eggshell or some sort of buffer. Lilia, she made it. She said she was just playing with her 3 pounds of worms. Oh, I wonder where she got those from. Lilia has some new worms. Yes, I will possibly spoil the surprise, but Lilia has some new worms, I think. Welcome, Lilia. I hope you were having fun.
No, I just got a notification that she put a video up a few minutes ago.
Now I'm going to want to go take a look at that as soon as I get off of here. I actually have one to post as well. I finally have some action in the reproduction games. Hello, Robert Banks. Hello, Lee. Yes, I do on my website, thecrazywormlady.com. It should be in the description below.
And Lenora Mitchell, hello.
Oh, hello, Lenora. Are you having wonderful weather as always? Tiffany. How fun, Lilia. Large quantities are so intriguing. I'm surprised you pulled yourself away. Yeah, it's even when you have like those big worm balls like in a bin for some reason, it's always hard to put it away and turn, the camera off and the lights off and leave. At least it is for me. Can't help it. Okay, so I hit 175,000 views the other day. Did you see that, Grant?
I did see that. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I honestly just didn't know I was anywhere near that. I'm trying to look. You guys, if any of you have YouTube channels and you don't have TubeBuddy, it's a really nice app. Gives you lots of live counts, statistics.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, Mike.
Oh, hey, Janet.
Hi, Emily.
Yeah, I can't see.
Ooh, I'll take this question. Brandon says, what's your opinion on the Worm Factory 360?
Oh, yeah, please take that one away.
Well, that was my very first system. And it sounds great. And it actually, it's a great place for worms to stay, but they do not migrate up like it's advertised to be an upward migration system. They don't migrate up. Well, some do, but I would say the majority do not. I mean, my castings, I just harvested my bottom 2 trays, 6-7 weeks ago, and the bottom 2 trays of castings are beautiful, but I did have to do the bait the worms out of the castings. I mean, there was quite a few worms.
And that's the problem, because it was my first system too, and I just remember there were so many different like learning curves along the way that I just didn't realize and I thought were like massive problems. And because it doesn't seal shut like the bags, or you can't seal it off as well as you can like a tote or something, I got all sorts of fruit flies, and it would be like either ultra wet in the bottom or ultra dry. I don't know. I just feel like, especially for a beginner, and it's kind of advertised to try to get people started, it's not this easy system that people think, or they make you think it should be.
Right.
Mike says, how many worms do I need for 11,000 acres? You only need a few to start. They'll do the rest. So Manuel had a question. He said he saw a vendor that advertised their castings are the best because they're aged. Is there a difference between aged and fresh castings? From my understanding, no. There's some small little differences. Castings, I think, can be stored like several years before they start to lose any like nutrient value at all. But there's also the like microbial activity. So as long as you keep them moist, it's pretty much going to stay just as good today, and it'll still be that way in 3 years. But there are some of the like dangerous, or I guess more questionable, pests that'll be in your compost that will kind of leave with the aging process. But from my understanding, they don't get better with time. They've already been composted, so it's not going to gain a whole lot more from my understanding. I don't know. How about you? Have you heard anything about that, Grant?
Right. It's basically the same thing as I've heard, but I guess you don't want to let them dry out.
Right. It's just mainly the drying out factor that's important from what I gather. Moshe says, I have 3 Worm Factory 360s and I've not had a problem with them migrating up. How many trays do you have stacked in them, and do you run them on the wet side or the dry side? Because I don't know, mine, I don't go above 3 trays now ever, and that bottom tray is always muddy, and they've gotten better over time at migrating up, but there's still always 50, 100 worms easy left in that bottom. Tiffany's impressed.
I leave my spigot open, and like my video yesterday when I checked in on the Worm Factory, that bottom area and the worm ladder was just full of castings.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's like it's hard to know when it's running perfectly because you're not going through all the trays all the time. And I leave mine open as well, my spigot at the bottom. And I've only ever once had it flood out, and that was when I first started with a whole bunch of watermelon. But since then, I haven't had any of those issues, but it just still, all the water, slowly seeps down to the bottom, and you end up with issues.
Yeah, Lee asked, did you ever get any updates on the castings versus regular soil on the flowers?
I saw that comment the other day, and I will put a video out. I have not updated the oxalis shamrock plants. They're sitting across the room from me here, but they still have a significant difference between the 2 plants for sure. I'm actually going to repot them here shortly in the next couple of days, and I will film that and we'll do an update. WTF Mike says Canadian worms might be too high to work, right? That's a good point, Mike, and I don't know how well Canadians reproduce, like other composting worms reproduce pretty quickly, but the Canadian night crawlers, I don't believe, do that. Moshi says, normally have 3 to 4 trays. Bottom one turns a bit muddy as it approaches being done. Then it dries up and I remove it when the worms have left and it gets kind of dry. Interesting. I wonder if that does have something to do with it, like how long you let it age. Never really thought about that. I mean, I've left them there for a long time, but it just always seems to get worse, not better. Lee, I farmed 275 acres of blueberries the conventional way, wanting to try this organic way. Start small and go from there with it. The market does pay more for organic blueberries, so it's worth a try. I definitely think you should give it a try, Lee. I really do. It's a fun hobby, it's rewarding, and I think you'll see a difference in how much you can grow and the health of your plants too. I know, Mike, you can harass us. It's cool. Um, Hello, Melinda. How are you?
Always better late than never, Melinda.
Absolutely. Fashionably late. Um,
The organic goes, if I remember right, I think it has to have been non-organic, chemical-free type stuff for 5 years before it can be considered USDA organic. That's how it used to be.
no, I think you're right. I think you're right. It has to go like a good while before they consider the plant completely organic. Lenora saying windrows for a farm. Windrows would be an awesome idea. Jude Lucis? Hello. I'm trying to think about what specifically, Lenora, you're talking about, because windrows are awesome. I don't know if you're familiar with Bentley Christie. He is owner of the Redworm Composting Facebook group. He has an email list, big website, and he's doing a big project right now with huge windrows in Canada. And all winter long, his worms survived, and he has just got these long, long lanes filled with compost. It's pretty awesome. Lee says, I will need lots and lots of castings in the future if it works out. Need some now. Are you set up or know anywhere that has some? There's a lot of great places that sell castings. If you really are looking to go the organic route, then your castings have to be completely organic, which is hard to find. Because people can sell worm castings, but they're not necessarily 100% organic. And if you want registered organic compost, there's only, I think, 3 people in the United States that have that. But if you want more information, you can send me an email, because I do have some contact information for those organic compost vendors.
Yeah, I'm excited to do some experiments in the garden this year with the worm castings.
Oh, me too. Why would not? Oh, there you go. I thought you weren't like popping up on my screen, switching out while you're talking. Are you just going to do it with your tomatoes, or what other plants?
I'll probably try it with a little bit of everything. I mean, last year I had a pretty good garden last year, but I was using some fertilizer, so we'll see how it goes with the worm castings.
Oh, I gotcha. Brandon, yes, I do feed citrus. You can go back and see that. I pretty much feed anything and everything to my worms.
BSF Outdoors, what's going on?
Hello, BSF.
Seen Mike. Thanks, Mike, for sharing the live stream in the society. I just seen that message come across.
Oh, well, that was very nice. Thanks, Mike. But I do want to do a giveaway after the stream. I'm going to announce it next week. And I am going to give away to 2 people 2 pounds of worms. And Grant, I wanted you to help me come up with rules for this. Because I've been struggling to come up with something new. But I want something that anybody, whether they're into worms or not, can participate. And so we can try to get some worms out to people. What do you think? I've been raising worms for 3 years, Grok. Yeah, 3 years. Just about 3.
I think I'm on week 33.
Okay, so You're what, 3/4 of a year?
I got my red wigglers on August the 1st. My Africans about a month or so later, 2 months later, and then my Europeans about 3 months ago.
Yeah, that's interesting that you're talking about that, because I started with blue worms 3 years ago in 2016, but it wasn't until I guess the end of 2017 that I got the European night crawlers and the African night crawlers. So they've been much less, and I bought some red wigglers that year too when I realized that I had blue worms. So been raising worms for 4 years. I mean for 3 years, but only had the night crawlers a little bit less than that. No, you don't have to eat a worm to be accepted here, BSF. Grokmail, yes. I have vermi bags as well as urban worm bags, and I think Grant does as well. He has one of the biggest vermi bags, the one that I don't have, and he has urban worm bag. So we both use the continuous flow throughs, and they're actually, in my opinion, the best. Linda, hi. Welcome. She's from New Zealand. She just started using something. Her sentence cut off. Hopefully she'll finish putting that in there for us. Craft castings, welcome. I don't think I saw you come in. I do somewhere have a video of the European nightcrawlers compost next to the African nightcrawlers compost, but I've never actually did like a side-by-side like view of all of them specifically. I should probably do that because all of my castings get thrown into the same container, but I could just keep a little portion of each type in a different bag or something and then do a video and show you guys.
I'm planning on, whenever I harvest my urban worm bag and my vermi bag mammoth, I'm planning on doing it, making a video to compare at least to see what, if there's a difference in looks.
Yeah.
I haven't planned on doing a comparison to see if they make a difference in growing.
They definitely have a different appearance. I've found if I put them close together, but I don't know if the different types of worms castings would have a different growth effect. That would be interesting.
Lee says, do we have any info on worm elixir?
Lee, what would you define as worm elixir? Are you talking about like an aerated compost tea? Jeremy says he loves the vermi bag. Alvin, hi, welcome.
Scrapping Irish, how's it going? We've got a few new people in here.
Yeah, we do.
We got 32 watching and only 19 thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up.
I don't think I've ever had this many in one of my streams. They're always much smaller. That's pretty cool. Jeremy says, is there a big difference in size, red wigglers and European nightcrawlers? Yes, definitely. The red wigglers, I think they're about this. What would you say, Grant? They're about the same length usually, but
Be right back.
Okay. Oh, I think Grant might go grab some for us. They're similar length, but the European nightcrawlers are much like thicker and meatier looking. They're definitely very different in appearance. Craft castings, yeah, I think it would be pretty cool to see the side-by-sides as well. Yes, you can use castings on house plants. Brandon says the burlap was a great tip for the baby worms. Yeah, burlap is pretty good in the worm bin. I've always liked using it. I haven't recently, at least not on the videos that I post for you guys, but I have. Tim says, and just like that, we're comparing poo. Mike says maybe somebody tweeted this out or something. It's weird. Grokmail, do you sell your castings? No, I give some away here and there to friends, things like that. But I don't typically sell them. No, I want to use all of mine for myself, to be honest with you. But I do give some away from time to time. Mark, hi from the UK. How are you? Oh, Lee says the elixir he's saying is the leaking out of the worm bed. So that's considered leachate, which is kind of a controversial topic because since it's not been given time to be worked through, there can be harmful bacteria in it. So usually if you have any sort of liquid that seeped through your worm bins, it's considered anaerobic and potentially hazardous. Not necessarily, but I would say if you insist on using it, which you absolutely can, and some people swear by it, but you would dilute it at least 10-1 and only use it on non-edible plants. But that's me personally. Some people say otherwise. Oh my gosh, Mixie is here. Mickey XOXO, how are you? Lady Lone Wolf, hello.
I've got a red wiggler and a European. I don't know how I can show it. The one on bottom is a European. The one on top is a red.
Oh, your Euro's really stretched out there, yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to get away.
Yeah, they're definitely very different in appearance.
Mm-hmm. Brandon says, how many bins do you have going?
Oh, me? I have some here in the living room. Hold on. Mike, don't do that. Thank you very much. Mike just gave me a $2 super chat. That was very kind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 24 systems right now. I had to go through them all. Oh, wait, 25 because the outdoor system. So 25 systems. Mike, that was very, very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. I saw a video from a guy that has his worms in the bottom floor of his house selling his leachate. I guess he calls it elixir, but he sells 5K a month worth of it. It's interesting. I would just be very interested in how exactly he's making that and if it's actually safe, but that's all a personal preference thing.
I know Tim, he made some worm tea out of some castings he bought last year using a aerator and a bucket.
See, that's just it. Like you can actually make like worm tea extracts where you just run water through finished castings. And that apparently works really, really well, and that's safe to use even on edibles, but you have to use it immediately and again diluted. But it's just when you don't really know how long that liquid's been seeping through your bin and what bacteria it could have picked up on the way down, I would not feel comfortable doing that. Matt says 24. Wow, I was joking when I said 32 last night, but really it's 16. Oh my gosh. And Grant, how many systems do you have right now?
If you want to count the which worms reproduced or the breeding games, however you want to say it, I've got those 3 small.
And I counted those.
Okay. Counting those, 9.
Does that include your flow through, your big setups?
Yeah. That's
okay.
The Worm Factory 360, Urban Worm Bag, Vermibat, Mammoth. The 3 little ones, I've got 2 big bins of reds, so that's 8, and then I've got a 5-gallon bucket that when I pulled my when I had the mite problem on the Worm Factory 360, I pulled all the bedding and put it in a 5-gallon bucket like the 1st of September. And that's where I got my 300 cocoons for my cocoon only bin. And I just left them in that 5-gallon bucket and they're living. I'm just letting them go.
That's so cool. I mean, like, in finished compost, there's always some cocoons and worms and stuff, and people are always so worried about it, but they can do really well. If you guys just saw my neglect experiment, those worms went 103 days with nothing. And now the European night crawlers did shrink up some, and they don't look as large as you're used to. Oh gosh, Mickey, thank you. It's not at all something that you have to worry about feeding them or taking care of them. Mickey, that is uncalled for, but I very much appreciate it. I always love your streams as well.
Lee and Mike both said I was cutting in and out, so I turned my Wi-Fi off. I think that was the issue. My Wi-Fi kept dropping and it was going over to my regular data. Hopefully that fixes the issue.
Yeah, I heard it a few times. I didn't think it was anything bad. Maybe it's coming through differently for the stream, but it's been fine for me.
Let's see.
WTF Mike says, do no hype, all hail Mickey XOXO. There's a lot of fun people in here, a lot of great channels. So I encourage you to check them all out.
Mark says, is the optimum temperature for worms based on air or bedding temperature?
It's based on the bedding, like what they're actually living in. Because if the worms could live in sub-Saharan temperatures if the inside of the bin itself and the bedding was kept at a specific temperature. So, you know, the ambient temperature in my house is usually year-round between 68 and 75, something like that, depending. But usually my worm bins are actually a little bit warmer than that, just I think because of the decomposition process. But the worms do just fine, even in those, you know, cooler temperatures outside. My bin's gotten really cold, but they do pretty well. But you want to more gauge it based on the internal temperature, because it's kind of that 60 to 80 degree sweet spot, even a little bit higher for the African night crawlers, for them to work the best.
Yeah, BSF, we'll get to you, man. He says, what is the best type of worm recommend to sell for fishing? Looking for a fast-growing worm.
Well, I mean, to me, I think the European night crawlers are a good all-around fishing worm because they're kind of big and meaty, but they don't reproduce quite as fast. What do you think, Grant? You fish even more than I do.
I would agree that the Europeans are a bigger worm. The reds definitely, well, I can't say definitely reproduce faster, because my mating game experiment so far, they're about the same.
It's hard to say. Yeah, I mean, the red wigglers and the European night crawlers I think would be best. A lot of people are really quick to jump on the African night crawler bandwagon when they see how large they are, but they are not as meaty, and they kind of tear on the hook. I know that's kind of gross for people who aren't into that, but they're not as kind of meaty like the reds and the Euros. They hold up better, at least in my experience. Hello, Ian. Welcome. I think Grant might have taken some cocoon pictures for you that was in his video yesterday, and my video that I'm posting later tonight, I did the same thing, trying to help you out a little bit. Yes, right in his. So talking about something else.
Talking about me, saying I've got a water spot or something. Hopefully I got it off.
They're just giving you a hard time about everything. And here I am. I rushed out of the shower and then wanted to make sure I could figure out the stream and still messed it up. And I didn't dry my hair, and my back is getting all wet and it's driving me crazy. So what are we gonna do to give these worms away? I want to think of something fun. Grant, I feel like you're more creative than I am. You always come up with fun stuff for your channel.
Like that, Brent?
Yes, Mickey, girl problems. My hair's disgusting.
My reds are reproducing like crazy. Every handful of bedding there is an average of 3 cocoons. Good, that's awesome.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I love his subscriber shirt too. His subscriber shirt's always fun. Tiger worms are used in the UK. Mark, tiger worms are I think they're like a close relative of the red wiggler. They're very, very similar. Strung out,
Mark?
hello. How are you? Good times outdoors, hello.
Thanks,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hit that thumbs up for the crazy worm lady. He was saying his reds are too small for fishing. My reds that are in my Worm Factory 360 are half the size of my reds that are the babies, I guess, the descendants of my reds in the Worm Factory 360. I mean, they're the ones in the 66 quart bin are twice the size.
I was going to say, yeah, the same thing. The ones in my Worm Factory aren't nearly as large as the ones I have in just regular totes or my flow-through system. So it's hard to say, but I definitely think that I believe Moshi says he uses the Worm Factories exclusively. And I wonder if you took some out and put them into like a Rubbermaid tote, if they would get big enough for you for fishing.
And I don't know if that's a part of the Worm Factory being so small or crowdedness or what it is, but they're definitely a size difference.
I don't know what it is. If it's like the enclosed space, the fact that they don't have as much room to climb around, that it's compacted, there's any number of things I think that could affect that.
I mean, it could be something to do with like that Paley experiment.
Exactly. I think that's part of what happened with the worms that I neglected with the European night crawlers getting so small. Is all those babies hatched, so it's really, really full of worms, and they didn't have enough space to really get big, so they're not full grown. Lee says, how long do the worms live? If they lay a cocoon, do they die after, like most hosts, or do they keep thriving? Oh no, the worms will keep going. They can lay up to 3, for the red wigglers, 3 cocoons a week with 3 to 5 offspring per cocoon in like perfect conditions. And worms can live several years. I think 3 to 5 years is not unusual for the lifespan of a red wiggler. The European night crawlers do not have quite as long of a lifespan. And I'm not sure about the African night crawlers, but I would assume they're all relatively in the same zone. Oh my gosh, Mark, how about guess the amount of worms in a bin to win the worm competition? But that would mean I would have to count the worms in a bin. And I don't think I want to count the worms in a bin. Ian, is it a myth that a worm cut in half will become 2 worms? Kind of. A worm cut in half, the tail portion, both sides, yes, can regrow. However, the side that has been hacked off, that there's no reproductive organs, it will grow another half, but it will never be able to reproduce again. So it's not like you have 2 fully functional adult worms if you cut one in half. And some worms just drop their tails off, like the African night crawlers do occasionally, and they will regrow their tail, but the tail does not regrow a body. So I don't know, there's little nuances to that. But have you ever seen the tail dropping thing, Grant, with the African night crawlers?
I haven't personally. I've seen it on your video.
Well, no, I know you saw my video, but I didn't know if you'd ever had that happen to you.
I have not.
It's weird.
Precision angling, how's it going? Matt says I'm the only person that he knows that will count worms. Oh, well, I had to for my cocoon only.
I mean, I've counted worms, but you take it to a whole new level, counting like every little wisp. I felt pained for you because I counted over 1,000 cocoons one time in one sitting, and it was awful. I mean, it's just very tedious after a while, and that's tiring.
Yeah, Tim says, what's the difference between an African and a Canadian?
The African night crawlers are tropical worms. The Canadian night crawlers are more cold climate worms. I think the African night crawlers are found only really exclusively in Africa. They aren't found anywhere in the United States naturally. The Canadian night crawlers, they can be found throughout the United States naturally, but they don't reproduce well in captivity. I think those are the main differences. I mean, they're both really long, large worms. The African night crawlers are much more purple, and it's kind of the lighter color to the Canadian night crawlers. Anything you have to add to that, Grant?
Yeah, and from what I've heard, the Canadians won't reproduce in captivity per se.
Right. Yep, not at all, from what I understand.
Right. See. I do have my European nightcrawler cocoon only bin that I started with 100 cocoons. Probably ended up counting them next week. I actually have to work tomorrow, so I'm not going to have a European video tomorrow. Unless I make it tonight and post it tomorrow.
Well, you could do that. Why not?
I might just do that.
Brandon, do you think adding calcium to a bin will increase reproduction? Interesting question, because Grant doesn't seem to think so. But I am actually running an experiment right now, using sand as the grit source for one of my bins and using crushed eggshell in the other one, to see if there is, in fact, a difference in the reproduction rate. So far, I can't really say that there's anything obviously different between the two bins, and it's been running quite some time. But keep following that. It's the video I posted a few days ago, but you can go to the playlist and find it.
And it's not that I don't agree that adding calcium to a bin will increase reproduction. It's that she uses bell peppers and other vegetables that have calcium naturally in them.
That's true. That is what you said. Like the spinach and all of the other foods that are high in calcium anyway.
Right. So there's the ones that are getting the sand for the grit, they're still getting some calcium.
Correct. Yep. I'm going to see if I can get yard night crawlers. I missed it somehow.
John Taylor says New Zealand flatworms. I've never seen those.
Oh, are those like the really, really horrible worms that like you can cut a million times over and they grow their halves back and they're like invasive and they eat things that are good for the environment and like you have to kill them with fire? Like I think that's like legitimately what a flathead worm is. I'm pretty sure. Antonia says maybe you should do the calcium test on your carbon only bins. Why didn't we think of that? That's a really smart idea. I didn't even think about that. I'm actually going to harvest those bins next week because they're so full of like finished compost. I think that I will just pull some of them out and sift like the majority of the castings and then restart them as carbon only, and maybe as this original calcium eggshell experiment ends, we will move it over to the carbon only. Your phone just scared the crap out of me, Grant.
Right.
Like is that what the buzzing was?
Mm-hmm.
It was like right in my ear. It freaked me out.
Sorry.
Tim, you did not have to do that. Thank you so much. That was very, very kind of you. Um,
And I can't believe Matt Nightcrawler Composting just got red wigglers for the first time.
I didn't know that.
He had
European
African and
nightcrawlers.
European.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about it. I never really thought about it. That's crazy. Bob, we follow your station and run 2 worm bins in our elementary classroom. Oh gosh, that's awesome. Do you just run like tote type bins, or what type of bins do you run?
BSF, have a great one.
Good night, BSF. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Precision Angling, take care. Have you ever tried lava sand in your bins? I have not.
Good night, Precision Angling. What's the benefit of lava sand versus any other sand? Is it just like the minerals from it? Because it's like volcanic ash sand? I don't know. I don't know if you do you know anything about that?
I don't. And Bob says they have worm factories.
And have you done okay with the worm factories? Because those can be a little bit tricky at times. Hello, hydroponic autoflowers.
Lee, believe it or not, I have never fed watermelon. Like, never ever.
You've never fed watermelon?
Nope.
The minerals is what they're saying is the benefit to trying lava sand. I'd be willing to try it.
I know that when I got the jack-o'-lantern after Halloween from somebody, they loved that pumpkin.
They do love pumpkin, and this year was the first year I'd ever fed pumpkin to mine, except for an isolated incident of canned pumpkin like a year ago. This year was the first year I had actual pumpkin, but watermelon is like a worm favorite, like by far. It's just you have to be careful because it's so water rich and it'll just flood out the bin, but they love it.
I know Lilia feeds hers a lot. Watermelon. I think she buys the watermelon just for the worms.
Does she?
I could see her doing that.
She does everything for her worms. Makes me look like a bad worm mother. Bob says they have a Facebook where they do their worm factories in the elementary school, and you can follow it. That's cool. I'm copying this right now so that I can do that later. Is there such a thing as a weirdo in the worm world? If so, not feeding watermelon may qualify you as one. That's true. Hi, Carl. How are you?
I will this summer.
Yeah, you better.
Hello, Carl.
You know, your worms could benefit from an increase in their diet from potato peels and bananas.
I mean, that's what we have the most of.
I know, I just give you crap about it. Because all of my scraps that I create myself is like nothing. Most of my scraps come from other people. So my worms look like they have a very well-balanced diet, and they don't. Well, I don't. They do. Cow dung. John Taylor is saying that's the best for feeding the worms. A lot of people love the manures. I just don't want to bring it in my house. The girls, ironically, are digging it the most. The Bob saying about his classrooms in the elementary school, that the girls like it more than the boys, I guess. That's funny.
Huh. Overfeeding. Yeah, I definitely think they can live on the bedding without having the food for a little while.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, mine didn't even have much bedding going into the neglect experiment, and they did really well. Well, hello, welcome. I don't know how to say your name. Is it Playdane? Pleedane?
I think his real name is Jim.
Okay, Jim. Hi. Welcome. if you can use green sand on top of houseplant soil to keep fungus gnats away, would that be something to use in the worm bins? What exactly is green sand? I mean, it very well may be fine. I don't know otherwise. But I've never put green sand on my houseplant, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I have houseplants, but I've never
Tim.
really had such a bad fungus gnat issue. So
UFO is Tim. For some reason, I was thinking it was Jim. Yeah, Lee says has a convenience store chain saving coffee grains. And I have fed coffee grounds, but they have to be used, right? Can't be fresh.
oh no, absolutely, you want to use because they're way too acidic fresh. But I go to my local Starbucks and they'll give away as many bags of grounds as they have in like these huge silver bags, and I pick up a few of those a month, I would say, and mix it in with all of the other food for the worms. Yeah, Bob, it's from Starbucks. Starbucks gives away tons and tons of coffee grounds.
Yeah, they seem to like it. So far, I've used it with my den of descendants and with the Africans. Haven't I've got 2 containers full. I just get them from work.
Yeah, they love it. Let's see here. Hi, Buzz. How are you?
Almost bedtime for Buzz. Well, thanks for stopping by. We're just talking worms.
I give azomite for grit along with other stuff, says Tim. Yeah, azomite, dolomite, all of those things are great for the worm bin. Even cold brewed grounds are fine. Just have to be ground or brewed somehow. That's exactly. They just need to have that water run through them to get some of that acidity out. Holarita, what's the best worm to start with when you start a bin? Probably the red wigglers. They're definitely just the most easy to raise worm, I think. Grant, are you on the same page with that?
That's why I started with the red wigglers first, because I was under the impression that they were the easiest, and I guess that's fair to say. I mean, I haven't had any trouble out of the Europeans or the African night crawlers, but I started the Europeans in a tote. Now I've got them in the urban worm bag, and then I had my Africans in the urban worm bag first. Then I moved them to the mammoth once I got it.
Yeah, I think that the reds, as far as like being easiest to raise in just about anything, probably they would be, because blues can climb. For me, Europeans climb. The African night crawlers are just, I don't know. They do the same. They all really climb except for I've never had issues with my red wigglers climbing a whole lot. The rest of them do.
When I first put my red wigglers in the worm factory, they were trying to climb out of it. You know how there's gaps in the side. I had a few climb out.
Yeah, I think most of mine now have settled down. Even the ones that I have in totes, sometimes I'll put the lids on them, but just to put my own mind at ease, most of my bins don't have lids anymore. Very few. Yeah, Bob, it's normal for a bin to get warm because as food decomposes, it heats up. So if you're feeling like it's warming up a lot, you might want to check the actual temperature, make sure you're not going much above 85 or so, and slow down the feeding if that could possibly be an issue, if there could be an overfeeding problem. But it's normal for the food to go through that heating up process as it decomposes.
I don't even want to think about that.
The only time I've had an issue with getting too hot, I had some okra that had gotten too large to eat. You know, if it gets longer than 4 or 5 inches, it's now okra, you got to pick it every day or it gets out of control. But I had some that got like a foot long, and I blended it up and put it in my urban worm bag with the Africans, and it got up to like 120 degrees.
Oh, geez. You didn't cook them?
No, I pulled it out. See you, Mark. Have a great night.
Good night, UFO. Oh, Tim's throwing down the gauntlet with the tomatoes, it looks like there, Grant.
Tim's got the genetics. He got some world record genetic seeds in the mail.
Oh, if that's not fair, then is he going to share them with you and you guys will have the same seeds, or yours starts completely separate?
He's going to share.
Oh, good. I was going to say, because otherwise that would not be fair if he had the world record seeds and you didn't. Did I miss anybody's comments?
Yeah, Lee says, what kind of worms does he find in his yard? Light pink color, maybe 3 to 5 inches.
Could be a
Could
red
be
wiggler
just-
or a nightcrawler, or European nightcrawler, or just a regular old soil dwelling worm.
Stingray Steve, how's it going?
Well, hey, Stingray Steve, how are you?
I did have a question on the blue worms. Are their cocoons hard to see? Are they pretty good, easy to see? Like the African night crawlers, I can't ever find a cocoon, but my Europeans and my reds, I can see, pretty easy. But I wasn't sure about the blues. I know that Amber Amusements, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her channel.
Yeah.
She just started making her videos, and
The blue cocoons are a little bit smaller, but I don't have much of a problem searching. Like, if I usually find them okay, but I don't really have a problem finding African nightcrawler cocoons either. But I would say that the blues and the African nightcrawler cocoons are much smaller than all the rest.
I don't have any tomatoes yet. It'll be a couple months for sure. I just planted my seed potatoes and onion sets yesterday. Yeah, strung out, they're all earthworms. There's just some that are composting, some that are burrowers and root dwellers.
Brandon saying, what's the easiest worm to reproduce? I think personally I'm having good experience with the red wigglers, but I think the blue worms might be even faster reproducers than that. Steven, has anyone seen a way to sell crushed eggshells? I started saving them for my bins, but I can't use them quickly enough. I've accumulated 20 pounds just from my family. Man, that's a lot of eggshells. It might be worth reaching out to like a gardening club or 4-H club or something and seeing if you can just share some, swap, something like that, because eggshells are great for the garden. So I'm sure there's plenty of people that would like to take them off your hands. So maybe you can set up some sort of deal with somebody else. Oh, it's good for rot, says Melinda. School gardens, Bob says. It sounds like there's going to be all sorts of uses you could put them to. I missed something.
Stingray Steve says he's got green tomatoes already. I'm jealous.
Oh, nothing like some fried green tomatoes. That actually sounds amazing right now. And I'm not a huge tomato fan myself. Oh, that sounds really good. I have some seeds starting downstairs, but yeah, it'll be months before we get anything.
Yeah, Stephen, it sounds like Lee's interested in your extra eggshells.
Bob says we have hydro tomatoes, so you do some hydroponics? Or is that a type of tomato? Lenora, do you think you get less mites with blended food? No, I think I get more mites with blended food, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's the fact that all the moisture is being released all at once, but I've recently had an uptick in my mites, and the only thing I can attribute it to is that I had been blending for a little while, a couple of weeks. But
So
hard to say for sure.
you think the blending made the mites worse?
I'm wondering, because I used to blend exclusively, and then I stopped blending, and still had some problems here and there, but my mites after I started using the neem cake were almost completely gone, and now a couple of my bins have got like way too many for my liking. But like they're on my gloves and you can see them thick in there, and I'm just not okay with that. So I think that it's easier to overfeed and it's easier to feed really wet feedings even if you don't realize it when you blend. And that perhaps could play a role, but I don't know that for sure. Mites are not dangerous. No, they're more of a nuisance, but they don't really do anything bad, no. I have huge cabbages thanks to my worms. Homegrown tomatoes are the best. Buzz is dropping jokes over here. The worms I got from you are doing great, Emily. I have one urban worm bag with the red wigglers, one urban worm bag with the A and C, and another urban worm bag with red wigglers from a local organic farm. That's awesome, Carl. Do you feel like one set is doing better than the others? All right, Carl, I'm gonna have to see myself out if you start telling me about your millipedes in plastic bins. Ooh, I can't do that. Yes, Tiffany, I do not like refrigerated tomatoes. Room temperature, like right off the countertop, that's the best.
There's Bulgarian Alien.
Oh, Bulgarian Alien is here. Hello. And Tim just said that his blender died Tuesday. He asked the wife if he could use hers. She didn't want rabbit poop in her blender. I don't blame her. But I broke mine last week. I left a metal like tablespoon in it, and I turned the thing on, and it slammed right through the side, splattered my backsplash, some of my wall in my kitchen. It was fantastic. It was a very expensive blender too. I'm kind of irritated about it. I mean, I didn't buy it just for the worms, but now I don't have it at all. Bob.
Yeah. Bob's saying, is there a way to keep the sprouts from happening?
Oh,
Seems
like from sprouting.
Sprout.
So wait, he's having sprouts from his castings. Is that what I'm understanding?
Right.
You know, you can either not add seeds to your bins. Some people will microwave anything with seeds before putting it into the bin, but I feel like that kills like some of the nutrients in it. So I mean, for me, if it all sprouts in the worm bin, most likely there's going to be very little left that will sprout when I put it in my garden. And if it does, I've actually let volunteer plants grow in my gardens. I had a tomato plant last year that came up. So, but they're easy enough to pull, so I don't really worry a whole lot about it. Grant, Bulgarian Alien, Grant is working overtime. Grant is always working in one way or another. A nice guy. Good night, Buzz. Carl, millipedes make great millicastings. I don't want to hear about it. I believe you. Two Wild Onions Homestead. Good evening. How are you? Yeah, the idea of worm tea and poop tea concept is a little bit weird for people until you learn a bit more about it. How often do you feed coffee grounds to a bin? I don't add coffee grounds in large quantities, but I probably do at least a little bit almost every week to most of my bins. Put a small handful, or it'll be mixed in with my food. So you just want to be careful because the coffee grounds will heat up more than most other food for sure. Excuse me.
Have a good evening, Hollerita.
Craft castings, exactly. I agree with you. Don't microwave because the worm bin sprouts are good for the bin biology. Pull them and drop them back in. And that's what I usually do. I get tons of sprouts. I just pull them up, turn them back over, and they're worm food again. Hollerita, gotta run. Have a good evening. You too. Well, I still have a good number of you guys in here. I think I have decided on how I'm going to give these 2 pounds of worms away. I have 2 different videos in mind that are from way, way, way back. And I think with some easy searching, you'll be able to find them. But the first 2 people to email me that they found my beetle one. All right, this is I can't use the main words in it. A beetle freak out video. Send it to an email to me saying that you found it and link the video, and the mishap of the corn cob. I need the first person for each of those will end up getting a pound of worms, and I'll put that in information in the description below. I have to be careful what words I put. I can't make it too easy. And it'll be let's see, I'll give away, I guess, red wigglers this time. So that should be pretty easy, right, Grant? I only have like 420 some videos to go through to find them. But I think my descriptions are pretty good. You'll be able to figure it out, right?
Lee, all you have to do is, when you've got the video pulled up, highlight the where it says HTTPS and the YouTube, whatever all that is up there. Highlight that and then copy it and then paste it in the email. AJ's Garden. Hello, how's it going?
Wow, I think I made this way too easy.
Already getting emails?
Well, no, but I just Googled myself, which is never a fun thing to do. But I just Googled some keywords with Crazy Worm Lady, and I was able to find one of them right away.
Yank your crank. How's it going, Chris?
Bulgarian Alien. Oh, you must have been the lucky one. You didn't get an ad on the way in. The ads are turned on, so I don't know why you didn't, but it's a nice treat when you don't get them, but I do appreciate that you guys tolerate them. My worms go through 7 coffee filters a week between 10 pounds of worms. Yeah, I think mine easily could do that without a problem.
Kevin asked, are you concerned about soy ink containing lactose, resins, and carbon black carcinogens?
I'm going to read this myself. Kevin, soy ink containing waxes, resins, and carbon black. No, I think the amount would be so small. I mean, think about it. The amount of ink that we are putting into our bins compared to everything else is very, very thin and small. So I don't think that would be an issue. And most people say that the inks that we use nowadays are considered non-toxic. They're considered safe. So I don't think that would be an issue. But again, it's a personal thing. If you're concerned with a ultra trace level of a carcinogen, keep it out. I totally get it. AJ's Garden, welcome. Congrats on 100. I didn't see you hit 100. That's awesome, AJ. Congratulations.
I think AJ's over 700. I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, congrats on 100. Oh, I thought it was 100. I was going to say, I didn't see any sort of milestone hit.
He put 107 times, so he meant 700.
Man, I have not had enough coffee to figure that one out. Strung Out Outdoors is still hanging out in here. Thanks for staying. Mutlu, hello, how are you? Bob Runyon, in the description below should be my email. It's crazywormlady@outlook.com. It won't let me look at my own description. Oh yeah, well. Yeah, my email is in the description below. Yank Your Crank, what's new? Newsprint only uses soy-based ink, says Tiffany. So does that mean that like the glossy cardboards or like magazines and stuff don't use soy-based? Or are magazines considered newsprint? I mean, I don't use all those things for the most part, but I would like to know so I could tell other people. AJ, once you hit a certain number, it starts to be a lot easier. Stingray, that's awesome. Everybody go check each other out. Click the like button for me if you haven't already. Everything, your channels take off a lot. So once you hit 700-800, I feel like it kind of snowballs. Yank Your Crank, I'm doing good, thank you. I'm actually, for me, this is my Sunday, so it kind of sucks because I have to go back to work for the weekend. I only work weekends. So tonight is meal prep, cook my food, film most of my worm videos, and go to sleep depressed because I have to work. Just compost what you don't give the worms. I'm trying to see. What are we talking about? Don't give the worms. Oh, you're talking about like the newsprint?
Yes, Tim. She's cooking pork chops.
Sorry, it's loud.
Oh, that sounds so good.
It does.
That's what Tim says. Janet cooking something good.
Always, Tim.
Oh, that sounds really good. I want to come to your house. I don't have anything in the house right now.
Does anyone have any suggestions for a good shredder that will do cardboard? Mine went kaput. Nicholas Pouliot, what's going on?
Hello, Nicholas. Welcome. Kevin says, thanks for your reply. I agree with you about soy ink. I only use ground leaves for bedding. And I mean, I use, cardboards and stuff that have color to them, but I don't use that primarily. I just don't worry about it too much. I feel like there can be a point where we get to overthinking it. It's composting, and I feel like you can pick out the little intricacies and worry about every little thing, or you can just know that you're doing something better for your family and your health by composting and not worry about, that tiny little bit of ink that might be getting into your compost when probably the fruit that you would get at your grocery store or the vegetables that you couldn't grow yourself, you'd be getting way more crap that you didn't want. I don't know, that's me. Trevorfoot, Amazon Basics 24 sheet is what he said. Grant, for your shredder.
Is that one that you use?
Me? No.
No.
Mine? Oh.
Back Road Freedom, how's it going?
Well, Back Road Freedom, I'm going to be getting off here in a minute, actually. I have to go do a few things. I'm going to probably try to wrap it up around 7:30. I have to go grocery shopping. And I have to come home and cook and film and everything. So I don't know. I'm going to try to be here for a few more minutes, though. And I do appreciate you stopping by.
AJ's Garden, I appreciate the suggestion for Costco, but I don't know where the closest Costco is to me. I know we don't have any close.
You don't have like a Sam's Club or a BJ's or any of those?
We've got Sam's Club.
I don't know. I don't know the difference between those places. I just didn't know if they all kind of worked the same way, that they had like other random stuff that they sold that you could see if they sold them there. My shredder works great, but it's probably a little pricey. Yeah, I need to just probably break down and just buy a more industrial-ish one because mine's starting to get worn down.
I'll check it out. I went and looked, and Walmart had one that was a 10 sheet for like $50, but it said medium use, so.
I missed what you said. What'd you say, Grant?
What's that?
I don't know. You had cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, Walmart had one that was 10 sheets. It said medium use.
Oh, okay.
So I figured that wouldn't be good enough.
No.
I think the one we had was 9 sheets, and it wouldn't do corrugated cardboard.
See, like the one that I have, it's what, a 12 or 16 sheet, and I can do single layers of cardboard through it, but it's really, I'm putting it through because it should not be taking that much, and it overheats really, really fast, and it jams up, and I think it's because I'm running it too hard.
Good night, Melinda.
Bulgarian Alien, I have all of my links already down below. Dinner time says Melinda, good night. Melinda, thanks for stopping by. Get a wood chipper, screw it, says Nicholas.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you need. Bulgarian Alien, the shredder that I use is in my description below, yes. The one that I currently use, that I've had for about 2 years. They have a forever policy.
Closest Costco is.
Okay. I got it. So there's no Costco in your state anywhere?
I'm not sure where the closest one is.
Does anybody have any last minute questions? Because I am going to have to wrap it up here in a few minutes. But I do appreciate everyone coming over, spending a little time with us, saying hello to Grant, welcoming him today. Kevin, I don't usually do weekly. I had said monthly. Now I would say maybe it's more of a bi-monthly thing that I do. But I definitely try to go live at least twice a month. Sometimes I'll hop on other people's streams, but they're not related to this, and it's just to have fun. But worm-related streams usually twice a month. And I post ahead of time on my community tab so you can look out. And I will tell you when I'm going to be going live. Thanks for your content, Emily. I send folks your way every day. I would have missed this if I wasn't home with a sick kiddo. Glad to get to hang out. I'm so glad I got to finally see you on here as well. I always see your posts on Instagram, and I'm sorry that your kiddo is sick, but I hope they do better soon, and I appreciate you stopping by. Lee, I will be checking my email as soon as I get off of here. I will be checking everything, and there's timestamps on all of my emails, so I'll know who sent me emails first.
Closest Costco is 123 miles.
I think it's worth the drive for a shredder. That is very far. What about Sam's? They don't have Sam's?
Monty says, say you have no eggshell or sand, would you still feed them?
Yes, I would still feed them. There's so many things that you can use for grit, garden lime, but even if you couldn't find any of that, I'd put a little bit of coffee grounds in, feed this week, and make sure you track them down for next week. I don't think a single week is going to harm them because there's still leftover residues from the past in there. Good night, Linda. Thank you. CRT. Trevorfoot, don't use that dirty Amazon word. Apparently that's a dirty word for Janet. I happen to love that company as well, but I don't like to put it out there because I want to remain friends with Janet.
I'm going to be nice.
She says she's going to be nice. She's not saying anything.
When did they start the thing for
See Tiffany's comment?
I did. I was just typing back to her. No, it's not a problem, Tiffany.
I can't hear.
Well, guys, I'm going to turn it off for the night. I appreciate it so much. Oh my gosh, Wayne, right in at the last minute. I'm just getting off. I was here with Grant. It'll be up on replay in a few minutes. Thank you, Grant, so much for hopping on with me tonight. It was fun. I hope you enjoy your pork chops.
Definitely.
And I will talk to you guys soon.
Have a great night, everybody.
Have a good night. Now it won't let me turn off the stream. This has been one heck of a time tonight.
You're still live.
I know. That's why I haven't moved. It's very weird. Why is it doing this to me tonight?
You have to go to Hangouts and in stream or to say.
Yeah, but my Hangouts is not even. It like somehow got lost in the mix here. Hold on. I think I can turn it off. So is this what I want? Leave call. Is that what I want to hit?
Might work.
Hold on.
Ian Matthew says, hi, Janet.
Hello.
This is crazy.
Okay.
It's only showing me, I'm not even showing the Google at all. Like, all my tabs are closed out. And I'm like still somehow here and I'm live. So I don't know how I'm supposed to turn it off.
Trevorfoot, they are bone-in pork chops, fresh from the farm to the butcher.
Am I still live?
You are still live.
This is ridiculous. I couldn't get the damn thing started. Now I can't get it off. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
Ready, Tim? It's breaded, nice and pretty.